I don't remember the explosion. I don't remember the screams, nor do I recall who was the last person beside me in that cave in Iran. Still, I clearly remember the red light piercing through my chest, the cold, sharp feeling like molten metal stabbing into my heart, and the sound of my final heartbeat snapping in two, and then nothing. But I could still hear, I could still see, and I still existed. I floated above, watching my body collapse, seeing the bone jutting out from my armor, seeing the blood soak into the sand. But what was even more terrifying was that I saw the light, not the heavenly light as the books say, but a cold silver light, stretched like broken glass, reflecting hundreds of faces, crying, screaming, silently wailing. An invisible force pulled me forward, stronger than any helicopter that had ever carried me on the battlefield. When I passed through it, I faced myself. But it was me, older, wrinkled, eyes sunken, kneeling beneath a fallen cross, shouting, "Come back! If you don't tell them, they'll never wake up." Why did I see myself? How did I know that the future hadn't yet arrived as a message from beyond time? And why was what I was about to witness more painful than all the wounds I had ever endured in my soldier's life? My name is Ethan Granger. I was a Navy SEAL from Team 6. My final mission was a top-secret operation near the Iranian border, where intelligence reports indicated underground nuclear development. My mother died from cancer. I lost my father when I was 17, and I've seen more people die than I've spent peaceful days. I was trained not to cry, not to tremble, not to hesitate. But what I'm about to tell you, I cannot remain calm, because this isn't just the story of my death. It's the story of humanity living so wrong that life itself is slipping away. I saw the truth. I met the one I never believed was real. I stood between the light and annihilation, not just for a soldier, but for the entire world. And I carry a message, not to instill fear, but to awaken. But before I am shown the future awaiting humanity, I must remember who I am and why I once believed the world didn't need salvation. Before I physically died, I had died many times in my soul, unnoticed by anyone. They called me Granger, neat, cold, precise like a knife pulled from its sheath. I was the leader in raids the world would never know about, where the only light came from the scope of a rifle, and the only prayer was shoot before you're shot. I used to believe compassion would kill me faster than any bullet from the enemy. I used to think I was a good person because I killed bad people. I used to believe justice could be packaged into a rifle. But the truth is, I was wrong. My father was a Marine. He came back from Iraq a different man. His eyes were like a broken camera, looking right through me as though I weren't there. When my mother died, he didn't cry. When I was 17, he died in silence, one hand holding a bottle of liquor, the other clutching my mother's photo. I joined the military, not for my country, not for ideals, but because I had nowhere else to go and no one left who needed me. The military taught me to live without emotions. I was the perfect copy of cold obedience. No questions, no thoughts, just do. I used to joke that I didn't know how to love anyone except my team and my gun. But that wasn't a joke. I once had a girlfriend, a nurse named Marla, and she had the same eyes as my mother. But I shattered her like I would crush a can after a fight. I forgot her birthday. I turned off my phone when she called in the middle of the night, when she needed me most. And she left, taking nothing but one sentence. "You have a heart, but you don't use it." I passed through life like a shadow who knew how to shoot. I wasn't afraid of death because I thought I was already dead. When my commander assigned me the mission in Iran, I didn't hesitate. I only felt empty, like pressing print on a machine with no ink. The sound still came, but nothing real was created. And that was the scariest part. Not the gunfire, not the blood, but the absolute emptiness inside. I could kill without being haunted. I could laugh when I heard screams. I could close my eyes for a second after seeing my teammate blown apart. I thought that was a strength, but now I know it was a sign that I had stopped being human. I didn't cry when my teammates fell. I didn't pray when blood poured from my neck. I wasn't afraid when my heart stopped beating. But when I left my body and saw that light, cold like a blade, shining on the soul silently screaming, I understood. I wasn't afraid of death. I was afraid of living with nothing to live for. A soldier can kill with his hands, but indifference kills the soul. I thought I was ready to die, but I had no idea that death truly begins when I no longer have flesh. And the first thing I saw wasn't God. It was the truth I had been running from my whole life. I fell, but not downward. I fell into a place with no direction, no gravity, no before or after, no time, no heartbeat. Only my consciousness, naked like a newborn, with no rank, no name, no role, no gun to grip. But one thing remained, the truth. And that truth came like fire, not burning the skin, but scorching the mind. Around me, thousands of shattered images, like broken mirrors, drifted memories I had buried, faces I had forgotten, even the laughter of my mother from my childhood, and the pained eyes of the person I had left behind without saying goodbye. They all came to life. I didn't just remember, I relived, felt as though I was living each moment again. Every pain I caused, I felt it from both sides, as if I were the victim and the perpetrator at once. And then, the space stretched out like a torn cloth. A golden light, radiant yet gentle, appeared, not blinding, but merging with me. There were no footsteps, but I knew someone was coming. No introduction, but I recognized them not with my eyes, but with my soul. A man appeared. His eyes were deep like an abyss, but not dark. His hair was white as snow. His voice didn't echo, but every cell of mine could hear it. And he asked, not with words, but with existence. Ethan, do you remember who you are? I tried to answer, but no sound came out. I only felt shame. For the first time in my life, I felt like I had nothing left to hide. All the layers, all the uniforms, all the justifications, all the excuses melted away in his presence. I stammered in my mind, I'm just a soldier. He shook his head, gently, but that shake seemed to reverberate through my soul. You were never a soldier. That was just the shell you chose to hide from truly being human. I wanted to argue, but I couldn't, because I knew he was right. And then he reached out his hand, not touching me, but the space around us began to distort. I was pulled into another realm, neither heaven nor hell, but something in between, a realm of souls. There, I saw people with no form, only light or darkness twisting together, spinning like an energy storm. Each beam of light held a story, a mother praying for her addicted child, a child crying in a room with an abusive father, a man commits suicide after losing his wife. They all intertwined, creating something I couldn't name, but I felt it. It was the heart of the world, and it was breaking. I turned to face him now, his light stronger, not burning, but making me tremble inside. Why are you showing me this? He didn't answer directly. He asked me instead, when you were alive, what did you think the world ran on? I thought for a moment, and like an old reflex, I answered, power, politics, money, weapons. He smiled, but it wasn't a smile. It was a sadness made flesh. The world is held together by the silent prayers you never hear, by the sacrifices no one acknowledges, by the love of those who don't need to know if they are loved in return. I lowered my head. I had nothing left to be proud of. And then he said, "You must go back." I was stunned. Go back? Why? He looked at me, his eyes not eyes, but like two mirrors reflecting my soul, and spoke slowly. Because if those who were once darkness know how to return and bring light, then humanity's hope is not yet gone. I thought I had died to leave this world, but I didn't know that death was only the beginning of a mission greater than any military campaign I had ever undertaken. A mission that required not just courage, but a soul. He said no more, but his hand rose. The space tore open like fabric being ripped by light. I did not walk, nor fly. I was simply transported into another realm, and there I stood in the future of the world. I stood high above, looking down at Earth as if from a satellite. But this was not a geographical map. This was a map of souls. Each country was not marked by borders, but by energy. Some places burned red like boiling blood. Some were as cold and blue as dead ice. Some regions flickered with faint light, like a candle struggling in a storm. I saw Iran, Israel, Ukraine, Russia, America, not by shape, but by spasms, like hearts on the brink of heart attacks. He spoke. War is coming, but it will not start with bullets. It will begin with silence. The silence of those who know what is right, but say nothing. I saw a series of images flash by like a raging storm. Leaders standing before microphones, but their mouths made no sound, as if their vocal cords had been severed. Beneath them, millions of people stared at screens. Their eyes had no light, as if hypnotized by the swipes of their touchscreens. Each time they touched, a small stream of energy left them, rising, collecting into a massive dark shadow that engulfed the city. I realized technology was no longer a tool. It had become a soul eater. I screamed, "We are being controlled." But by whom? He didn't answer. He showed me. A massive hand, no flesh, just electronic sparks and encoded symbols. Controlled puppets dressed in suits. Each puppet was a symbol. Flags, money, social media, drugs, war. And people bowed down and worshipped them like deities. I saw an explosion, not just one, a series of explosions. Not like regular bombs, but columns of white fire erupting from major cities. New York, Tel Aviv, Tehran, Seoul. Each explosion not only took lives, but sucked the silver light of souls from the earth, pushing them up, shattering them like crystal dust in the atmosphere. I collapsed, crying out, "Why, God, would you let this happen?" He replied, softly as a wind through my heart, "I did not allow this to happen. Humanity chose it by choosing not to seek the light." I saw something more painful than death. I saw the heart of the world cracking apart. It was what he called the collective soul, the thing that connects all people through love, forgiveness, and prayer. But now it was cracking like the earth in a drought. Every time someone kills in the name of a nation, it cracks. Every time someone hates because of skin color, it cracks. Every time a father abuses his child, a child is forgotten, a mother prays in despair, and each crack appears more clearly. I looked at him, pleading, "Why are you showing me all this? I'm just a SEAL. I'm not a leader. I'm not a pastor. I only know how to fight." He answered with a sentence I will never forget. "And if one who once knew how to kill learns how to save souls, the world has more hope than you think." I choked on my words, my mind flooded with images, but he wasn't done. He took me to a strange city. I recognized it as San Diego, but not the present. It was the future. I saw myself, or a younger version of me, around 15 years old, sitting alone in a park, eyes deeply sorrowful. No one around paid attention. Passers-by just stared at their phones. And that young boy whispered into the wind, "Is anyone there?" And no one answered. I turned to him, "Is that me or someone else?" He replied, "That is the next generation. If their souls are not protected, then death will no longer be the worst thing. Living without knowing who you are will be." I knelt. For the first time in my life, I didn't want to fight. I just wanted to hold my soul. And I whispered, "Give me a chance. I will speak. I will tell. I will warn." He looked at me, not with eyes, but with pure love. "Remember all of this. For a person who truly lives is one who doesn't let another soul die in silence." I had seen that war doesn't start with guns, but with silence. But life doesn't begin with victory. It begins with a soul brave enough to awaken. Will you dare? I woke up in a sterile hospital room in Germany, blinking in the sound of machines beeping steadily like a mechanical heartbeat. Someone was holding my hand. It was Peterson, the teammate I had thought was dead in the Iranian cave. His eyes were red, but his mouth wore a trembling smile. He whispered, as if afraid to break the air, "We thought you were gone. Your heart stopped for over 7 minutes, but you came back." I came back. But I knew I was no longer who I once was. Ethan Granger, the old SEAL, the man without emotion who believed only in weapons and orders, died in that cave. Remained was a being who could shed tears at the sight of a dead bird by the roadside, who could feel his mother's whispers in long-lost prayers, and who understood that life was more precious than any country that ever taught me how to kill in the name of protecting it. It took me weeks to recover physically, but it took me a year to learn how to live again. I returned to America in silence, no celebrations, no medals. I didn't need them. I just needed a piece of paper and someone to listen so I could share what no one had ever seen. I began to write, not military reports, but a map of the soul. I wrote for those who had lost their faith. I wrote for the children growing up in a world that no longer felt real. I wrote for souls like the one I once had, believing that to live was to act, but in reality, just being pulled along by unconsciousness. I learned to embrace my late father, not with my hands, but with forgiveness. I stood before my mother's grave, shedding my first tears in 20 years of drought. I found Marla, not to apologize, but to listen. She had a husband and 2 children, but when she looked at me, there was no anger left. She said, "You've finally come back." I didn't fully understand her words, but I understood one thing. I couldn't change the past, but I could choose not to let the past define my future. I no longer go to church out of fear of hell. I go because I miss the feeling of someone looking deep into me without judgment. I no longer pray to be saved. I pray to live truthfully. I don't tell my near-death experience as a legend. I tell it as someone in debt to this world, to offer a warning. A call to awaken in the age of information overload, yet starving for meaning. I've never feared death, but now I fear living without remembering why I'm still alive. I no longer fight on the battlefield, but I fight in every word I speak, every act of forgiveness, every moment of silence I hold when it's needed, and with every person I meet, daring to look deep into their eyes and say, "You still have a soul. Don't let it die." But the story doesn't end there, because the thing that terrifies me most isn't death, but the final message he gave me, meant for those still alive. Do you believe? It doesn't matter. Do you have a religion? That doesn't matter either. Do you believe in heaven, hell, in Jesus, in the soul? None of that matters, because the soul doesn't depend on your belief. It exists, it hears, it hurts, and it's waiting for you to remember who you are. If they do not awaken, the light will fade, not as punishment, but like a candle that goes out when no one needs it anymore. I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm not telling this story for you to believe. I'm telling you so you have the chance to choose again. Because what I've seen and what I saw is a world in extinction, not due to natural disasters, not due to war, but because we let our souls die in silence. And when the soul dies, everything else is just a decaying shell waiting to collapse. We are living in a time where silence is more terrifying than gunfire. Silence in the face of wrong. Silence in the face of pain. Silence in the face of the question, who am I in this life? I'm no longer a Navy SEAL. I'm no longer Ethan Granger from before. I'm just a witness, a man who once died to see and came back to tell. I don't need you to believe. I just hope you stop. Stop in the middle of a busy day. Stop to look deep into someone's eyes. Stop to ask, am I living or just existing? If you can still hear me, start again with 3 simple things. First, silence. Turn off all devices. Sit with yourself. Don't fear the silence. Inside it, there is an answer. Second, connect. Call someone you've cut off, whether because of you or them. They are waiting too. Third, act. It doesn't need to be grand. A kind word, a gentle gesture, I believe in you. Each of these mends a piece of the world's soul. You don't need to die like I did to see the truth. You just need the courage not to live as though you will never die. I used to think the biggest question was, what's after death? But now I know the real question is, what is dying inside of you while you're still alive? Let that live again. Let the light have a reason to stay. I've seen what I wish I never had to see. But I'll tell you, because you have the right to know. Whether you believe or not is your choice. But remember, if I'm right, you don't have much time left.